It can be really scary to get on an airplane with a few months old baby for the first time. That's not an easy thing to do, but above all, you need to plan ahead and be well prepared for any circumstances. That's why I'm here to share with you some amazing tips for preparing your first flight with your baby. Make sure to stick until the end, where I share 2 amazing travel packing tips that saved my life so many times. Traveling with a baby is a whole different story than by yourself. Without proper planning ahead of your travel, you may bump into some trouble and make the flight a horror for you and the other passengers. Good thing is that a lot of people have already traveled and are traveling with babies all the time, so it's not an unknown ground to explore. I am also a person who has traveled a lot with my girlfriend, who became my wife now, where when there was the 2 of us, we got quite a lot of experience when it comes to flying. But when the baby appeared, we needed to reset our thinking and learn new skills, what we did over time, where we gathered some good and some bad experience. But now I'm able to bring some of the best tips so you can avoid the mistakes I made while learning by doing. Let's get to it. Tip number 1. Take time to prepare your hand luggage as good as possible. You'll be allowed to take an additional piece of baggage on board when traveling with a baby. Make sure to take time, focus, make a list and take everything that might be needed. You definitely want to have some food, water, milk and some treats that your child really likes. Also, what seems obvious but can be forgotten, you need to have the whole diaper changing set: diapers, wet wipes, pads and creams. Take also some clothes for changing. You don't want the baby to travel for several hours with a wet t-shirt or whatever it's wearing. Also remember about packing some toys, books or stuff that will keep the baby busy. You know it best. Take the stuff that it really likes to play with. One thing is to take all that stuff on board, but you also want to make sure to pack it in the correct order, leaving the most frequently used items on top of the others. If you suddenly need to change the diaper, you don't want to throw everything out of the bag to get the stuff you need at the moment. Tip number 2. Make sure to have all necessary documents close to you so you wouldn't have to dive into the backpack, or worse, put it in your pockets and lose it on the way. What I like to do is to download the tickets on my phone or use a dedicated app if the airlines have one. And again, you definitely want to sit a day or 2 before the flight to make sure the tickets are ready, you know how to use the app, your documents are all there and are valid. I personally carry a lumber or a fanny pack or whatever it's called. Funny thing to know actually, in Polish we call it a kidney because of its shape. In that bag that is on my belly or on my chest, I have an easy access at all times. That makes life really easy when you need to take stuff out every few minutes, especially when you're traveling with an impatient infant. Tip number 3. Get ready for handing over to the crew the baby stroller, especially if you plan to do so just before boarding. When you will be right there wanting to already get on plane, you'll have in one hand the baby, in the other luggage, the baby's luggage and the stroller, and at the end it would be good to pack the stroller into a dedicated cover. And imagine now you're doing it on the airport ground, it's pouring rain and you're in a hurry. You definitely want to be prepared for that. When the time comes, you should be quick and not get stressed. If you are traveling with your partner, communicate who does what in order to get on the plane. Not lose anything and make sure the stroller travels with you. Tip number 4. Check ahead what places are you sitting in the airplane on. Consider whether you'll be entering the airplane in the front or the back of the machine. You don't want to wait in line and then get through the whole plane. Also, many people advise to jump onto the plane as one of the first passengers. Well, I would actually advise you to do the exact opposite. It has several advantages. First of all, you don't need to stand in the line for too long. You can take the time where everyone is waiting until the gates are open, sitting, chilling, eating or shopping. Sure, you don't want to be late, but as soon as you realize that the line is moving forward and people are starting to board, get closer and pay attention to join the queue at its very end. The other advantage, maybe even more important, is that soon after you take a seat, the plane will take off. If you get on board at the beginning of the boarding, you will most probably have to sit on your spot for about half an hour, and you definitely want to minimize the time being strapped to your seat with the baby. Tip number 5. Make sure to check your bags and not take any drugs or weapons in your hand luggage. Nah, just kidding. Well, actually, don't take those. No. The actual tip number 5. I already talked about packing the baby's hand luggage, but you also want to make sure you have everything you will need during the flight with you and not in the storage above the seats. If you'll need the toys, have it with you underneath or in front of the seats. On the other hand, don't take unnecessary stuff with you. Take off your jacket beforehand and pack it into your backpack or just into the storage room. Same with the hat, your luggage, or items that you won't be using. The baby itself and its stuff will already take a lot of space. And don't expect to have a peaceful flight chilling and watching Netflix. Sure, depending on the baby, it might happen that it will sleep the whole travel, but you better pack your laptop into your suitcase or your pack. It will only be a burden. On the other hand, make sure to download some offline cartoons to your phone. Sure, I'm also an enemy of giving the baby or the child cartoons when it gets impatient, but if you have still some flight time ahead, that might be the only way to make your kiddo stay on the place. If you find that video valuable, make sure to like and share it with others whom it might help as well. Consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell to not miss any new videos that come out. Now, as promised, 2 packing tips. The first one is to have this item that I never leave for the airport without. It's a lumber pack. Mine is from the North Face. It is a lifesaver and I've been using it for years. You can carry it on your chest and always have an easy access to documents, cash, phone, whatever. But also you keep an eye on the most precious items so you don't get robbed or you don't lose anything valuable. The second item is my smartphone. This device allows you to make calls, send text messages and even watch some videos whenever you get bored. Okay, again a joke. Jokes aside, this is a serious channel, right? The other tip is to pack to a backpack. I'm quite of a suitcase hater, but I just love backpacks and I find them so much more convenient and practical to use. But especially when it comes to traveling with a baby, you want to have your hands free, not to have a huge suitcase to roll. Also, a backpack can be taken on board in most airlines, which makes it so much easier to get on board quicker, and also when you're already in the place you were traveling to, you can easily take it with you wherever you want to go. And basically these 2 packing items is everything I need for traveling. I have my hands free, I can easily travel or walk through the city with all belongings. For me, it's a major advantage to be able to go hiking, sightseeing, going with a subway or wherever you need to. Despite preparing and planning accordingly to the flight, you still might find it stressful to fly with a baby, especially for the first time. To learn how to deal with the stress, you definitely want to watch that video. Cheers and safe travels. Do zobaczenia.